Grazie. Welcome to Zurich. This is going to be a special tour today. First of all, there are no people, no real people in front of me, but you're probably all in front of the computer, and that means you're completely part of the tour. So feel free whenever you have a question, a comment, a thing you agree, or even better that you disagree, just write it down and we'll answer and tell you more about Zurich. The other interesting thing is today I want to show you a bit of a personal tour. You've seen many tours that we run, also my tour, but today I want to tell you more about personal things, how I see Zurich. So you're going to see Zurich now through my eyes, through the eyes of a local. I'm very also happy to meet here at the Zurich main station. Usually we can't meet here, it's an extremely crowded place. It's probably, it's the most crowded railway station in Switzerland, and Zurich is the biggest of all the railway stations in Switzerland with most of the passengers and travelers. It's a very crowded place. And when we say we meet at Zurich main station in front of the meeting point, we don't need to precise as this is the meeting point. See the sign here? And of course, you're in Switzerland, so if you see this sign, it's of course under the clock. Yes, of course, that's Switzerland. We have a lot of clocks, and this is the famous Swiss railway clock. The very famous Swiss railway clock. You will see now when the minute comes, have a look at the time now, 58, 59, and then it jumps. It takes 59 seconds only to complete the minute, and then it jumps to the minute. But why do we meet here? Railway in Switzerland is probably one of the most important things that we have in this country. In the 19th century, we were one of the few countries in Europe left without a proper railway system. The rest of Europe had already a lot of railways traveling around the country, except of us. And there was a big need of having also a proper railway system here in Switzerland in order to stay ahead with the rest of the world. But there were two main challenges to build a railway here. You can imagine we have to go through a very mountainous country, and it's not so easy to go with a train or travel with a train through a mountainous country. So we face two main challenges. Who will build all these tunnels that we need? Mainly the Gotthard tunnel, we'll talk about. And who will finance all of this? That's going to be very expensive. We need money and we need manpower and brains for that. So two important things happened beginning of the 19th century that we'll talk on this tour. But let's enjoy a bit together this very calm and empty Zurich. So just follow me and let's go and discover Zurich through my eyes. This is the famous railway hall, as you see. Now it's empty, but we have a lot of sometimes concerts. When it's Christmas, there is a Christmas market here. There was also once a football game, so people played football here. It's quite nice to watch. And let's go here outside to the right. By the way, here starts the famous Ponthofstrasse, which is the railway station street, if you want. One of the most famous streets in Switzerland, connecting the railway with the lake. It's, by the way, a very nice stroll. We'll have it on the tour. So let's first go over there to the river, direction river. have a look at this tram just leaving. We're very proud of these trams. They're only in Zurich. They only exist here in Zurich. They're called Cobra. Their unofficial name is Cobra, like the snake. So you find some cobras in Zurich. What's the background story here? Well, we can see, can you see over there, their old tram? What? Over there's an old tram. Okay, these were the older trams, the Tram 2000 as they're called. And people complain about them. They're too noisy, they make too much noise. So as what did the politicians do for us? They created even an own tram for Zurich, which are these trams, the Cobra. Always have to be careful. Okay, let's go. That's a dangerous thing. Speaking about Cobra, I'm saying this without joking. Unfortunately, these new trams were so silent, which is actually exactly what we wanted, that many people got hit by these trams. Well, that's now exactly the other problem. We have dangerous snakes here in Zurich, some of them coming, and we'll go towards the river now, famous Limmat River. It's still red, that's green. I'm gonna go here. By the way, it's so hilarious in Switzerland, even when it's red and there is nobody around, people will still wait or be very sure there is no policeman. It's very untypical to cross when it's red, so we're going to be correct now. Now it's green, let's go. By the way, if you come to Zurich, which you will hopefully soon, and you go to the supermarkets, there are two main chains. Just want to mention the name, that you pronounce it correctly. Because there have been people living here for many years, and they still pronounce the two big supermarkets wrongly. So one is Migros. You write it Migros, M-I-G-R-O-S. Write it Migros, but you pronounce it French, so Migros. And the other one is that we just passed here. It's Coop, like corporation, and not Coop, like many might think. So it's Migros and Coop, the two famous and two big brands in Switzerland. They have the same color, by the way. They're orange, both of them. I'm going to continue now along here. I also want to show you this beautiful building. It's the police station, but actually it used to be an orphan's house historically, and it was painted. And it was painted by Augusto Giacometti. The beautiful thing there inside is it uses different red colors. Absolutely astonishing to visit. Now, unfortunately, we can't enter, and even if you come here as a tourist, you have to show your passport or your ID to a police officer before he lets you in. The only thing you should always remember is that criminal gets served first. So when the police is busy with criminals, we'll have to queue. Let's go over there. There's a lot of love in Zurich, as you can see here. And also important for your orientation, whenever in Zurich, in case you get lost here in this huge megapolis of Zurich, don't be scared, just stand here, then you can easily find your orientation. North, south, east, and west. I'm on a beautiful day like today, you can even see parts of the Alps. Not too much today, but still very nice view that we get over there. And if you have good eyes, you can even read the time of this clock face over there, this large clock face. It is, by the way, the largest clock face in Europe, 8.7 meters or 29 feet. Sorry for the English people watching, it's larger than Big Ben. It's a very large clock face. And from wherever you are in the old city, and now we know we are in the old city, we're able to read the time. Perfectly able to read the time. Historically, it was also important, as this used to be the only clock in Zurich, so nobody had an excuse of ever running late, as everybody was perfectly able to read the time. Let's continue over there. Let's go to the other side of the river. We're going to the other side, to the east bank of the river, also called the Niederdorf, which starts here. And there is a saying in Zurich, we say on the left side of the west bank, if you want, the left side of the river, is where people work hard. And we're hard-working people, and we earn all the money. And then what do we do at night? We take the money, we go to this side of the river, and here is where we spend it. You're going to see why we spend so much money just here. This is also the place where you see, we can walk, we can continue, we see a lot of different food. I'm going to talk about Swiss food, and there are different restaurants also over here. However, I want to talk to you about something many people are not aware. Maybe we have a quick look here. Over there is a restaurant, well, it's actually a coffee called Yucca, and everything they do is very much different from what we know here in Zurich. Many people think Zurich is all about expensive, fancy places, and well, we do have them as well. But we also have some alternatives to it. One good way is over there, it's a bit hidden. It's the Cafe Yucca, and it's a coffee where people go even if they don't have a place to stay or no house. We also have kind of homeless people in Switzerland, in Zurich, and that's a place where they're welcomed. And I personally highly recommend. I sometimes go there, and when I organize food tours, mainly for tourists who want to see what we eat in Zurich, I typically bring them to different places and also go to this coffee to show a bit the differences. And this is exactly what makes Zurich such a beautiful city. You have the really different places, and on a good food tour, you would combine actually all of that. So you really see the different places, different concepts that we find here in Zurich. But this is also an alternative place, and it's also part of this city of Zurich. Let's go over there. Let's continue. Let's speak a little bit about food. As you see, it's a bit the foodie area here. Zurich is very much blessed in terms of food, if you want. We are a city of 410,000 inhabitants. Still, we say we have people from all over the world living here, from every country in the world, which is not bad for a small city like Zurich. Which means for a foodie like me, I can find any kind of food that I'm looking for. And for you as a tourist, if you come to Zurich, don't worry if you miss home too much. That's safety first. Well, car will stop. It's a pedestrian. It definitely will stop. That's Zurich. So you know, if you come from another country and you live here, or just as a tourist and you miss your country, your home a lot, don't worry. You will find your local food also served in one of the places here. That's the good news. Bad news, you'll pay a Swiss price for it. Now you're also going to see different local, I would say Swiss food. We have a very, very good local cuisine. We have a lot of different Swiss dishes that you definitely need to taste when you come here. Let me mention two very famous. One is raclette, of course melted cheese, eaten typically with potato. And we have fondue, which is the other one, also melted pot of cheese, typically eaten with bread, or you put a piece of bread or potato inside this melted cheese pot and you enjoy it. So we have our local Swiss dishes. Well, let me tell you a secret. Although we love our own cuisine, we are, as you see, very much influenced by the different cuisines. And recently one of our ministers said, oh, I'm a typical Swiss person. I eat more couscous than rösti. Rösti is another typical Swiss dish. But just to show you how this influence, how much of different food influence we have. Well, let's take my lunch today. I had choriatiki, which is a Greek salad, then a tortilla, and for dessert I went for a tiramisu. Well, I made my own tiramisu, so you can't buy it now. But you see, this is very typical for a Swiss lunch. You combine a little bit of everything. And there are also some bad news related to food. Many people think we shouldn't speak about that on a tour. So it's food waste. Unfortunately, we have a lot of food waste here in Switzerland. Don't ask me about the exact number. They say about a third of the food is wasted. And I'm very happy to see that there are more and more initiatives against this food waste mentality. They're training us. They tell us that we can use a round banana to make a good milkshake or a cake. And there is also a nice concept that I personally like a lot. It's the Asbar. It's not Asbar, don't misread it. It's the Asbar, which means the food bar. And everything they do is they take sandwiches, cakes, anything they have from very good pastries from all over Zurich. And then they serve it here for about half or third of the price. And they call it fresh from yesterday. So this is all food that was meant to be thrown away, and now it's being sold for a cheaper price. I believe a very nice initiative against this whole food waste mentality that we unfortunately still have. Let's hope it will change when you come to visit Zurich. You know, Zurich is not a cheap city. Let's be honest, we're one of the most expensive. Always depends how you count, but definitely one of the most expensive cities in the world. However, there is one thing which is free and of prime quality, and that's the water. There are more than 1,200 of these fountains. Whenever you're thirsty in Zurich, just drink some water. Let's continue through this little dove. And we are again standing on the border between the left and the right side of Zurich. As I told you, there is where people work, here is where people spend all the money. And now the big problem is we have this building, which is the parliament, on the wrong side of the river, apparently. This is the parliament, by the way, of Zurich, of the city of Zurich, and also of the state of Zurich. They have an own parliament, there is an own government, and an own court. Now, Zurich is not the capital of Switzerland. Some of you might think it, but it's not like this. Bern is the capital. Bern, actually, said in German. Often people think it's Zurich, which is wrong. Sometimes I hear on the tour Geneva, which is very wrong. And once in a while I hear Stockholm, which is, I don't know how, but yeah, apparently Stockholm. It's also not the capital of Switzerland. It's Bern. However, Zurich is the largest city. And what's interesting in Zurich is, or like in every state, we have 26 states or cantons, as they're called here. And all of them have an own parliament, an own government, and an own court. So this is the parliament of Zurich. Another thing which is unique here are the languages. For example, here in Zurich, in the state of Zurich, we speak German. More precise, we speak Swiss German, but we write German. However, when we go to the parliament, for example, in Geneva, it's going to be French, French only. If you go to Ticino, it's going to be Italian, and Italian only. Now let's make it more difficult. Now what do we do in Bern? We have in Bern also the national parliament, where we have members from all the different cantons coming together. How do they speak with each other? Many think it's English, but maybe in 20 years, but definitely not yet. No, they speak all of them. And this is quite a beautiful thing in Switzerland that I really like, is that it's completely common to speak your own language, your own native language, and you have the other one answering in his or her native language. That means in the middle of the debate, without translator, one would say, ja, meine Damen und Herren, schauen Sie doch Artikel 5 an, and the other one will reply, but non, monsieur, l'article 6 qu'il faut prendre en considération. And to make it more complicated, the third person would turn up, would say, no, abbiamo parlato dell'articolo 8, no, beh, questo è molto importante per noi, and so on. So we've always found a way to compromise. And this is another typical Swiss thing, when we talk about politics. I would say we can slowly walk and talk a little bit about politics. Slowly walking towards one of my favorite places, towards Lindenhof. You have a quite interesting democratic system in Switzerland. We call it the semi-direct democracy. A bit of a challenging thing. First of all, understand that 50% of all votes all over the world happen here in Switzerland. That's because, of course, we vote for our parliament every 4 years. That's one thing. We also have to vote for our state parliament, for the national, for the local parliament. And now comes the more interesting thing. We have two unique things in Switzerland. One is called the initiative. Initiative means, let's say I have a great idea. Let's get more vacation. Sounds fair. Currently the law says it's 4 weeks, or if you have a certain age, it's 5 weeks. But let's say we should get 6 weeks of vacation. So if I find 100,000 people that sign this petition, or we call it initiative, then there's going to be a vote. And if the majority of the states and the majority of the Swiss people think, yes, Jonathan's idea was great, we should get 6 weeks of vacation, well, it's going to become constitutional. Quite crazy. And I'm going to go over there. You know, this really happened. There was an initiative saying, we want more vacation. And then what happened? Of course, the majority of the Swiss people said no. I think this is quite unique. It really shows how democratic we are, that we can vote about anything we want, and also how much we love work, how much we love to work. We prefer working than actually vacation. Don't even know what to do on vacation. So the majority said no. Let's quickly move you out. Careful when you're very tall here. Should work. Okay, we're going to climb up. Grüezi. Grüezi. By the way, this is also very typical here in Switzerland. You can greet people you don't know. Hi, I didn't know these people, they don't know me. But you say grüezi, it's completely normal. You can say grüezi to start any kind of conversation, or just say grüezi. It's very polite. And if you're in little villages, it's even very common. So if you pass bye, and you don't say grüezi, it's very offensive. And the other thing, by the way, we have, in Switzerland, we don't really have an opposition. Sounds a bit weird, we don't have an opposition. We have all the big parties ruling together. That means the Minister of Internal Affairs could be from the left party, of the External Affairs could be from the right party. They all rule together. And the opposition are we, the people. That means when the parliament decides on a new law, and 50,000 people think, bah, that's a stupid law, again, there's going to be a vote. And if the majority of the people think, well, this law was really stupid, this law will not be in charge. It's quite interesting. We have this very semi-direct democracy. It means the people, we are kind of an institution that can vote about almost everything. Well, our system is a bit slow. Some people say that's true, but it's very stable. And I believe a reason why this political system here is so stable is because we're very diverse. Switzerland is a typical country of minorities. Everybody's here in a minority. For example, language-wise, 65% speak German, 25% French, 8% Italian, few speak Romansh. So already we have a language minority. Then we have some cantons are bigger than others. So you know, as a small canton, you should be nice because you are in a minority in the size of the canton. Then there is religion. We don't really have a prevailing religion. Catholic, Protestant, about the same amount of people, but there is a Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist community. So again, there are a lot of religion. That means in Switzerland, you're always in a minority, either religious minority, language minority, your state is a smaller state. This makes us very much working together. This is why in Switzerland we love the word compromise. So we bring the different arguments, and at the end we try somehow to compromise. Makes the system very slow, but also very stable. That's the good thing. That's also a reason, by the way, we haven't had any dictators here for many years. First of all, because we love this basic democratic rights. And the second thing is, imagine a dictator in this country. I mean, what language would he or she speak? Somebody would shout in German, then in French, then in Italian. It will definitely not work here. We mistrust too much anything or anybody with too much power. So this is a bit the Swiss political system. Feel free to write some questions or comments. I'm very happy to discuss it more in details. It's definitely a subject that I like a lot. I also want to show you this. It's a prison for misbehaving people on the tour. No, it's a bunker. It's a military bunker, bomb shelter. We have many of them. Nobody really knows the exact number, but apparently there is enough space for everybody. So for 8.5 million people, 8.5 million places we have in the bunkers, all bunkers together in Switzerland. And when you move to Switzerland, by the way, which is quite interesting, I have a lot of friends who moved to Switzerland recently, the first thing you'll get from the government is going to be a welcome letter. And in the welcome letter, they will already assign you a place for your bunker. So just to, never know what's going to happen. So this is really the Swiss mentality. Now, why do we need so many bunkers? It's again, a historical thing. First of all, we love everybody, but we don't trust anyone. We don't trust you. That's a bit the mentality. And that's why Switzerland feels like, doesn't matter what happens around us, we need to protect ourselves in case of emergency. That's why still a lot of money is spent in bunkers and bomb shelters. The other thing which makes it quite interesting is we're neutral. It's about 200 years, we decided to become neutral. Not only because we're a peace-loving country, because it's just more pragmatic. I mean, imagine you're a little boy and two very big men are fighting next to each other. Best thing for you to do is to shut up and stay out of this fight. So this is what happened 200 years ago. We had a lot of superpowers in Europe, Switzerland being just in the center. The best thing to do is just stay out of all the problems. And indeed, since then, we haven't had any wars. So that's 200 years now the case. Let's slowly move up. I want to share with you some stories that haven't happened in the bunkers, but in the army. In Switzerland is one of the few countries left in Europe where all men have to serve in the army. So I did it as well. And what we do is when we are 20, about 20 years old, we serve for 21 weeks. Doesn't sound so much. That's 4.5 months. And then comes the crazy thing. Every year we have a repetition course. That means we go back to the army and we train again for the war. Let's walk up here. We get again prepared for the war. Now between these repetition courses, we keep all our army stuff at home, which means we got rifles, pistols, all these things are kept at home. Imagine that. That's also one reason why Switzerland has so many rifles. There's so many rifles and guns in this country. Maybe we can have a little look here around Lindenhof. Maybe start a small walk, but I want to tell you a little bit more about the rifles here. Now we kept the rifle, all of the people who served in the army, including 50 bullets. This comes from the World Wars, and the idea was in case of a mobilization, it would take 24 hours to mobilize, the whole Swiss army, as all of the ones serving are also having a normal job. So in case of war, would be ready, will mobilize very fast the whole army. Now this, after the war, became kind of a tradition here in Switzerland. We kept a rifle including 50 bullets. And a lot of criticism came saying that there is no military use of having rifles and bullets at home. And indeed there has been a horrible massacre in the parliament of Zug. So then again the whole debate started, because although gun violence is very low or relatively low in Switzerland, there is. Low crime doesn't mean no crime, so there is gun violence. And then what started? Big debate. One party, to make it a bit easy, said let's stop this crazy tradition of having a rifle and bullets at home. There is just no military need. And the other party said no, it's a tradition. The dangerous thing is always the person and never the rifle. So it's always about so it's always about the person. Now what happened at the end? What do we do in Switzerland when we have two different opinions? Of course we compromise. And compromise means we still keep the rifle but without ammunition, and now everybody's happy. Let's slowly move over there. Hope you're counting the fountains with me. Fountain number 2. Perfect water. Let's enjoy a bit the view first, and then I'll tell you more about the buildings, and especially why they're related to the train station. Let's enjoy a bit the view.
Prime time jsou v televizi. Máš jako samozřejmě, ale jako okolik mnohem, víš co, na to, že prostě reklama v televizi je něco, na co jsi fakt 100% focus.
Když si na televizi, kolik lidí scrolluje Instagram. Právě.
Jako jo.
Už není Prime.
Ale...
Zvlášť jako jsou to spíš starší lidi. A ty firmy.
Ale když uděláš reklamu, tak jakože teď se teďka pamatuju reklamy, co bude v televizi, to bylo asi 9, víš co. Něco jako, co musíš vejkat, tvůj influencer má podle mě tak...
Let's have a look over there. Let's find the right spot here. It's here. But these are institutions we're very proud of. Can you hear me? Let's move a little bit back maybe. We're not interfering with other people. We're very polite and keep the distance. And we're very proud of these institutions. One is the University of Zurich with the green roof on the back. And the other one is the ETH, which means the Eidgenössisch Technische Hochschule, or Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. We're specifically proud of the ETH because all in all, until today, 21 people who've been to ETH have won a Nobel Prize in their career. It's a very high number. My brain is not so big, so I don't know all these 21 people. I just know 2 of them. You can look them up on the internet. Let's share those 2. One is Albert Einstein, that we all know. One is Wilhelm Röntgen, who discovered the X-ray, or we say in German, the Röntgen ray or Röntgenstrahlen. That's how I know him. So 2 and 19 more of these people were here. But let's go one step back. Why does ETH actually exist? If you remember, we started the tour with the railway at the railway station and spoke about the railway and the big challenge of connecting North with South Switzerland. Well, it's a very mountainous country. It's already many years ago they decided to build a tunnel going through the Alps. And there were 2 challenges. One is, where can we find smart people who know how to build a tunnel? And where can we find the money? So 2 important institutions were created. One is exactly the ETH that we know today. It was actually created to train engineers for this program, for this project. And the other thing that started here is the whole idea of banking. There were just some private banks in Switzerland, but the whole idea of taking risk capital started with building this Gotthard tunnel. This is why one of today it's the Swiss second largest bank, Credit Suisse, was actually built in order to finance this Gotthard project. So you see how everything is related between railway, institutions, school, and of course banking, another thing Switzerland is very famous for today. I hope you enjoy a bit the view, and we'll slowly move over there. I have another story for you about the army I'd like to share it with you. Move over there. Yes, you know, 3 years ago I had to go to the army for a repetition course. I had to do something. It was just for 2 days. I had a little task to do. And I traveled with the railway, like we all do. I was in uniform, but without rifle. Because there was no need to have a rifle with me, so I just had to travel from Zurich to Kloten, which is not far away. It's next to the airport. I was there in the train reading the newspaper. And then there were 2 tourists in front of me, I think from Russia. And then they started speaking about me, of course. One was telling the other, see, look, there is a Swiss soldier, how cute. Oh, he reads the newspaper. Oh, he even doesn't have a rifle with him. Oh. So they really made fun of me. Now, I understand Russian, so I perfectly understood what they were talking about. They just made fun of me. And then one said, oh, what does he protect? Maybe the chocolate? Oh, we might steal some chocolate from him. One joke after the other. And the best thing was when one of them said to the other, oh, I'm sure he's a spy. He perfectly understands what we're saying. And the other started laughing. So they kept on having fun speaking about me for the other 10 minutes in the ride. And 1 minute before we arrived, took away the newspaper and started looking at them, just staring at them. So one looked to the other and said, what the hell is he staring at us? And then just before leaving, I stood up and wished them in Russian a very nice day, and that I'm very happy to meet them. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of how their face looked. But never underestimate, especially in Zurich, we have people from all over the world speaking all of the languages. So even if you want to share a secret with your travel partner here, be very careful. You never know who speaks what language here. Go over there. There you can play chess. It's a very big chess. And very nice way of playing chess. Recently I was here on an afternoon playing with some friends chess on these huge figures. And we started having a real chess game. And more people came and joined us and started helping us. At the end there was really 2 teams playing. So it's a very social, it's kind of a very social event to meet here, to play chess, to play boccia. You can also play boccia here. So it's a very nice place, a green oasis in the middle of Zurich if you want. Let's slowly walk down towards Fraumenselplatz. Again, feel free to write, text, comment. Very happy to give to share other opinions. That's also a beautiful spot, a proof of how old this city is, about the Romans that were here, and also the first time that the Roman name of this city is mentioned. And the city we call today Zurich, or Zurich in English, comes from the Latin word turicum. If you're very attentive, you could even read here in Latin. It's not written turicum, it's rather written statio turicensis. For those who for those who studied Latin at school, it means the station of Turicum. From these words, our historians understood that for the Romans, that wasn't really a city as it is for us today, but rather a station, which means tax collecting and also army station. This is a bit the Roman background. Discover more on the downtown tour, and we cover much more about the Romans and Roman stay here in Zurich. Let's have a look at the clock if you can. Probably you see how big it is now. Let's continue over there. If you are really attentive, we can walk. If you're really attentive, already also the first place or now, there is one number written a bit wrong, I would say. This is number 4. 4 is written in an unusual way. We're used to have it IV, but on this clock, there are 4 I's if you want. Now, what's the reason? Why do we have 4 I's instead of the correct IV? Well, there's 3 reasons I'd like to share with you. One, very simple, apparently it just looks better. Just looks nicer. It's more symmetric to have first 4 I's than from 5 to 8, the V, and from 9 to 12, the X. That's one thing. Second reason is because there's also a historical reason for that. We spoke about the Romans just over there. Let's say, so also there used to be a Roman temple that became a church later. And IV is also the abbreviation, or could be the abbreviation of Jupiter. Jupiter was the main Roman god. So the Christians wanted to make clear, I'm sorry, but this is now a Christian church, no Jupiter here. So not even a way of confusing, let's see, that's Jupiter, there might have even been here, kind of a Jupiter. So that's another reason you'll see number 4 written like this. You have it on the camera, that you can see it from home. Very good. That's great with the modern technology. And the last reason, I have even a funny story, a funny reason for you. People used to work in Zurich from 9 to 6 in summer, starting in April. And this used to be the only clock in Zurich. They wanted to make sure that every worker would perfectly know until when he has to work. Would 4 look different? Like IV, there might be some people thinking, oh, they could already go home at 4. But they wanted to make clear 4 and 6 look very much different so that no worker would leave his job too early. That's another reason why 4 and 6 look so different. Hope you have it on the camera, so we can slowly move on and slowly move towards the end to Fraumenselplatz. You'll get the chance to even see some leftover of the Roman bath. It was here, another proof of Roman presence here in Zurich. I'm just going to walk on it. Have a look at what's left. Really beautiful. And another proof of Roman presence and how the Romans started actually the city here, the city of Zurich. Let's move slowly over there back to Fraumensel. What a beautiful square here, Fraumensel Square. Can't believe that some years ago it was still a parking space in the middle of the city. Now it changed, it became a bit more a piazza feeling. We have already the coffees over there. Definitely one of my favorite places in Zurich, as it combines a bit of the whole history that we have here in Zurich. So we spoke about the Romans. Some Roman leftovers were found here when they digged here. So we knew that the Romans were here. We have the whole time, the whole period of the nunnery, of the women ruling in Zurich that we cover on the tour. So we have all the time the epoch of the nunnery. We have also the trade guilds. You see over there a trade guild house, this blue house. But also behind you, there's another trade guild house. So this is about the whole history. So you really find the whole history of Zurich here. From the Romans, the nunnery, the trade guilds, and even modern history happened here. You have Winston Churchill who gave here a speech just after World War II. Very beautiful speech, ending with the famous words, so let Europe arise. Europe should arise again from the war and become peaceful and work together. So a lot of things happen here. Today finally it became a piazza, as it should be, a very nice place to hang out when the weather is fine. And probably that you've seen now Zurich for about 1 hour, probably found out that Switzerland is one of the richest countries in the world, and still the buildings here are quite normal. You don't really see a lot of gold or a lot of huge palaces like in other places in the world. And probably the reason I found with this question that people ask me very often, how can it be that Zurich looks, or Switzerland in general, looks so humble? There's a lot of theory about are people humble here or not, but one beautiful reason I've heard recently was the following. Let's go back to the railway station again. All over the world, big projects are being built, houses, huge palaces. In Switzerland, one of the biggest thing that was built was recently, again, a railway tunnel, the new Gotthard tunnel, not the old one that we have already had, but the new one, even longer, 57 kilometers, one of the longest in the world. And this was done on time, perfectly on time, keeping the budget, keeping all the things together. So I believe what Switzerland is all about is to build things that serve the people. So we're not building these extravagant, beautiful buildings because who do they serve? It serves maybe for a few rich families, but we rather build ugly things like a tunnel, which looks ugly, but at the end of the day, it serves all of us and it connects the country much better. So whenever we go to the south of Switzerland, it takes us 1 hour less of train ride, and this is definitely something that serves all of us. So I believe that's a bit the philosophy here in this country. It's very pragmatic. It should serve. We find compromise when we find, but at the end of the day, we're slow, but we're very stable. And this is what makes this whole country so special. That's also why I like to live here and also like to be a tour guide here in Zurich. And I'm also looking forward to welcoming you, hopefully very soon, to Zurich again, do real tours with you. But online tour also means that you still have the chance and the possibility here to ask questions, to stay in touch. You have our contact details also on the website. We're going to start hopefully very soon again with the tours, and we'll look forward to welcoming you very, very soon in Zurich. Thank you very much for joining.